Grant, I want you to take me back to your draft night in 2019. Walk us through the moment when you got that call, the thoughts, the feelings. Where were you? Who were you with? I don't want you to leave out any details.
Yeah, so I did it at my best friend Lucas Chamberlain's house because at the time, I grew up in a situation where I wasn't able to host a ton of people. So went to my friend Lucas Chamberlain's house in Valentine. He had everything set up. My family, friends, a lot of people were there. I had no idea where I was going. I was a guy that was considered before the draft process started, I was considered a mid second round grade, which is what the NBA told me. But I was like, that's absolutely wrong. So I followed Eric Pascal around, and not Eric Pascal, Brandon Clark around the whole time. And, you know, I feel like I brought his value down rather than bringing myself up. Anywho, get there on draft night, and I thought highest I could go was 16 to Orlando. And the reason why I say that is because Orlando was basically hinting at the fact that it was between myself, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, and a mystery person. That mystery person is who they selected, which was Jamal Kiki. So when I didn't go to Orlando, I knew I wasn't going 19 to Brooklyn, I think it was, or sorry, San Antonio. I said if I go to San Antonio, it'd be 29. So I was like, all right, so I have nothing really to worry about over these next couple picks. And next, 2021, I knew Boston was trading 2021 happens, which I thought I could potentially go to Memphis, I think it was, or sorry, OKC at the time, but then they traded to Memphis for Brandon Clark. Once that happened, and Tayshaun Prince and them called me and they kind of were asking right before the draft what I thought, and I was like, I played at Tennessee, blah blah blah. They went with Brandon Clark. I didn't think I was going to Boston, so I was like, okay, my next pick is 23. I'm going to Utah. I had a confident feeling that I was going to get drafted to Utah. I get a text from a person I hadn't talked to in 5 years, my old high school teammate. His name was Ben Ferris. That said, congrats. And I was like, the heck? And then I got two more texts saying, congrats, congrats. So I'm calling my agent. I'm like, yo, like, uh, why are people texting me congratulations right now? He's like, I don't know. I was like, all right, like, what's going on? He said, let me look. And he's like, asked around. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And he's like, wait, actually, like, supposedly, don't take my word for this, but Shams tweeted that you're going to the Celtics at 22. So just take your phone out and just in case. So I was like, all right, cool. So I take my phone out and start recording. Get drafted to 22. Everyone's going crazy around me. Then Brad and Danny call me after, like probably like 15 minutes after, and was like, or 10 minutes after, and was like, congratulations. Decided to welcome you here to Boston. We're excited to have you. Blah blah blah. Get excited to see you on Monday. Be ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. And so, mind you, I didn't think I was going to Boston because in the middle of my Boston workout, I took the clipboard out of Tony Dobbins' hand and drew up a play. And I was like, yep. And then after that, I remember Jay Larinaga. I always tell this story wrong because I jokefully say he cursed me out. But Jay, you did not curse me out. You just told me that that's not something cerebral players are cerebral, but like at the same time, you shouldn't be mindful that you have all these different things. And like you shouldn't do that to a coach. I said, you're right. So, and then I sprained my ankle in the workout. And this is the reason why I think I got drafted there. It's because I sprained my ankle in the workout. And the Boston, they do the 3 minute run. And where Danny comes down, walks down the stairs, and says, hey, you don't have to run. I'm like, nah, I'm running. Like, this is not, I finished the workout. I'm going to finish the workout. So I ended up coming in first in 3 minute run after spraining my ankle. It was a pretty bad sprain. And I think that's the reason I got drafted there. But yeah, that was my draft night. And I remember looking back to it and I was like, dang, I'm really going to Boston. Like, I got to make sure. And then Tony Dobbins and I were like this after, like, that's my dog. And like, I look back to it and had some of the best years in Boston too.
Okay, wait. So you're telling me the order that you found out, or the order that the news was communicated, Shams knew first,
Tom's knew first.
then the pick was announced, and then you got
No,
the call.
Tom's knew first. Friends texted me second.
Right.
Agent finds out third. Then I find out fourth on the TV. And then
Right. And then you get the call. So
mm,
it's not like the NFL where they're calling the player first and
mm,
then they walk out, or
not
and
always.
then they know.
Mm,
Oh, I was fully thinking that it was like that.
no.
That's actually kind of crazy though, that your friends all of a sudden are like, that's
They all
wild.
texted me and I was like, bro, why am I getting congratulations texts? Like, I'm like, bro, the pick hasn't even been announced. It's Boston. Like maybe I'm about to get picked, or maybe I'm about to get picked on 23. I thought I was going 23. I thought I was going to Utah. So I'm like, maybe the Shams tweeted two picks ahead. And I was like, Grant Williams getting selected by Utah. This person's getting selected by Boston. But then turns out I was going to Boston.
Dang. I
Wow.
just want to know how Shams knows. That's why he's so good at his job. Shout out
Yeah,
Shams.
back when Woj was a thing too. So him and Shams were going back and forth back then.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's like the protege, isn't he? Isn't he from the Yahoo Sports days? I think him and Woj.
Not protege. I wouldn't call it that. I would just say like, they were.
Hey, it doesn't. You don't always appoint the protege. They can come. They can occur without you thinking that they're watching and
That
trying.
is true.
Like,
That is
you
true.
know,
So
dang,
what?
that's wild.
No, that is insane. That's actually insane because I did not think the process was like that. So, like I said, shout out Shams for being on top of it. Because I mean, I know like they both stayed when Woj was, not retired when he was still, actively working. They would both stay, on top of it, and you could look at Twitter, quite literally, and know everything before you saw it on the TV. So that was crazy. What did you end up doing after? Like, how did you celebrate?
I sat there with my family and friends. Really was just like kind of shocked. I didn't cry or anything. I still have the video on my phone. I literally look back and I'm like, dang, like that was a good, cool night. I just smiled the entire time. And afterwards, we just kind of hung out, talked, told stories about high school days, told stories about what it was like at college, and then went our separate ways. And I got ready to go to Boston.
That's how.
That's
Is that the full
wholesome.
truth? Is that the full
Yeah,
truth?
I'm not like a partier, so it's not like we were like lit and going crazy. It was more so I was just like, all right, like this is cool. Like we actually, I think we ended up playing NBA 2K later. Like me and my high school friends, like we were just like as if we were just in high school, just
Mm,
hanging out. And my family was super excited. My grandma, my grandpa, my dad, mom, everybody was together. So it was just a special moment to spend with people around me.
that sounds wholesome.
That's so
And it
wholesome.
was a wholesome night. Wholesome guy.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Typical Grant Williams.